All right, just to keep you on track, help you with anything you might have questions about today without me there, this is the agenda that would have been on the screen. You should have done your page 17 podcast. If not, you can honestly start with that, and I will take care of any stamps and credit later. But we have a review activity for you to do, and you're finishing up in your packet. That packet and the review activity are both due on Tuesday before you start your test. So hopefully you can finish both in class today. If not, you've got some time over the weekend to catch up on that. Make sure they're ready for class. So in Canvas today, you'll see that I have the page 17 practice answers just for those 3 questions at the bottom of the page. Hopefully that's all you have to finish from your packet, but if you do need to catch up on pages 15, 16, even all the way back to page 12 and 13, I have the answers to all of the calculations that you've had to do, even all the way back, I think, to page 10 or 11, posted in the module. So you can check your answers there. If you're not getting the right answers, then you can ask the sub to see my packet, to see the setup, the work, in order to get you there. So you can start with your packet, or you can start with this review activity. I'm actually going to pull up the review activity here on one side and the Unit 1 test topics and review materials, just some information about the test, because I think they'll help reinforce each other. So this left side, I have the Unit 1 test topics and review kind of information. And for this, I went through the entire test and I made a note of what exact kind of pages and specific topics I had questions on, and told you even if it was going to be in the multiple choice or the free response. That blue number is the number of points on the test. So that's just one multiple choice question there. We have 3 multiple choice questions on physical versus chemical changes there. So that can help give you a guide as to where to spend some of your time studying. And after I made that list, I went through and I made this review activity, which you had to make a copy of the sets of slides to look through. And I tried to make sure that I covered every single topic that is on the test. So that first topic, NFPA diamonds, is on page 2, and kind of deals with some of the safety stuff we talked about on page 1. But if you're struggling with this slide to understand what I'm asking for here, and I do want you to tell me what's the most dangerous hazard, not just the most dangerous number or color here. I want you to look at these specific numbers in these specific places and tell me what type of hazard we have that is the greatest and the least. And then when I say precaution, I mean what would you do or not do? What kind of safety equipment would you use here in order to be safe with this chemical if you have to work with it? So you don't have to be extensive, don't have to list everything out, but I do want that to specifically come back to that most dangerous hazard there. So make sure it's specific there. And if you need help with it, look at page 2 stuff. The next slide is physical chemical chain stuff. If you look on the left in the test review materials, that's on pages 3 through 5. I think it was the bottom of page 3 where we talked about physical chemical changes. You're just going to drag these tiles. I already have the words typed in there, so you just need to drag them to one side or the other. In general, anywhere I have blue boxes, you're going to have to double click in them in order to type into them as text boxes, and anything that I have that is pink, let me click on something else. Anything that I have that is pink, you're just going to be dragging into a place to help answer that question. So element compound mixture stuff, still there on kind of pages 4 and 5. Drag the pink things where they belong. Here we got blue boxes. You're going to be typing into these spaces. This is significant figures, so probably going to be looking at pages 8 and 9 for those rules and example problems. We did math like this. Just do the math in your calculator that I'm telling you to do here, then round your answer according to those numbers you were putting together. Here, no math to do. I'm just giving you a number, and you're going to start rounding it more and more and more to fewer and fewer sig figs. So just count your sig figs, figure out where that first, second, third, fourth, fifth sig fig is, then round it to that place. Percent error problem. Remember, you're going to be given that equation on your formula sheet, so I gave it to you here. Just have to be able to figure out what's your accepted and experimental. Look back at page 10 if you're having issues with that. We've got notes on that. Scientific notation. I don't need your scientific notation in that bottom part to look super fancy. You can write it just like we put in the calculator. I have that note down here at the bottom. You can write it just as 10 raised to the third. That's going to be like a Shift 6 button to get that little up caret button in there. Or you can be super fancy and go into format the text to make it look like proper scientific notation, but I'm not picky as long as you show me you know the chemistry. From there, we've got some dimensional analysis. So this first problem, we've got some pink tiles to drag into place and a blue text box for you to type answers into. I've given you conversion factors you're going to need. You just need to be able to analyze this problem, get things where they need, plug it into the calculator. This second one, though, you're going to have to do a little bit more. I didn't give you the conversion factors because these are conversion factors you should already know. Now, I know we struggle with those metric conversions, so I have these little equations to kind of help you out with this a little bit. And all you've got to do here is look at a problem, like in this one. Look for what's the same. That's going to be our base unit. So the thing that's the same is the M. So our base unit is M. The part that's different are the prefixes that we need to write equations for. So we're going to need our N equation and our K equation. That's nano and kilo. And from these equations that I have here, fill in the part that's the same on the blanks on both sides, and that'll fill in your equation. Remember, these are prefixes. We can put any unit here. Later on, we're probably going to be wanting to put W's in for watts. We can put grams in, and that's still the same equation, just a different base unit, because kilo equation is always the same. We just need to be able to apply it to different base units. So if we are talking about meters as our base unit here, these are the two equations you're going to need to plug in to these two conversion spaces, and just focus on what units you're starting with. Follow that diagonal rule, get those numbers typed into the right places here, and then calculate your answer in your calculator. Remember, if this comes out to be some crazy scientific notation number, or just a number with a ton of zeros, you can push the second button, which is in the top left corner, and right next to it afterwards, after you push second, you can push the DRG button. Remember, that's where we have the psi /eng, arrow over to psi, push enter. It'll turn any number that you've got into scientific notation. Just remember to go back to that same menu and go back to flow when you're done with that, because we don't want all of our numbers in scientific notation. That can get crazy. Now, if we go back here, looking at our test structure, we got more dimensional analysis. This one is one of those weird combined unit problems where we've got the line in our unit, so we're going to make sure that we get this dimensional analysis line between our units here. So you're going to put that 172 watts over minutes. Separate the watts and the minutes, and then you're going to be turning those watts into kilowatts using our kilo equation. And then in the other step, you're going to be turning minutes into hours. And you already have that equation here. You just need to make sure you're focusing on canceling out the minutes you've got there, because they're starting on the bottom, which is weird and different. But we've got a problem like this at the bottom of page 13. It's question number 10. So look at how you set that one up. That might help you figure out this problem here. And then finally, finishing out with some density, page 17 stuff. Hopefully you already did the problems at the bottom of page 17. So we got 2 more calculations for you to do. Type your answers into. After you do the first problem, you can do the second problem, which doesn't have a text box. It has a pink circle that you're going to be dragging. And this is a multiple choice question. That you're going to drag that circle to select whether that's A, B, or C. That element, that density is going to describe. So that is everything. This is back to that first slide. So use that review materials as a guide to tell you which pages to look at, or just flip through the packet. But remember, this is due before you take your test on Tuesday.